buckle up. Welcome to Hannity. Explosive new breaking developments exposing the deep state. We will get to all of this momentarily. Complicated but simple on the other hand. Glenn Beck is here tonight. He's going to weigh in on the dire dangers of socialism and how it's real. But we begin with the presidential campaign season in the Democratic Party. It is now off to a disastrous, pathetic start. Socialism, oppressive taxes, open borders. And during and post-birth abortion, advocated by some. They have now become hot issues in a party that has become even more radical. And per usual, the mainstream media, they are providing the cover, the support for these candidates, their extreme ideas, very shady past. Every step of the way, we'll investigate all of this. And that is the subject of tonight's Hannity Watch on the radical socialist 2020 Democrats. Right now at this hour, over a dozen presidential hopefuls have already thrown their hats in the ring. Many more are expected to declare before the year's end. And late last week, former failed senatorial candidate Robert Francis O'Rourke, otherwise known as Beto O'Rourke, he announced his candidacy. The mainstream media, they do what they always do. They fell in love with Beto. Robert Francis, take a look.
Extremely authentic. He's just an extraordinary guy.
He has a vibrancy, a youthfulness to him. He has a message which is largely cheerful.
He had a way of speaking inspirationally, but also really seriously laying out the stakes.
What he has to start with is a charisma that you just can't manufacture.
The candidate wins who's got the sun in his face, who looks like sunny, optimistic, not the indoor bureaucrat sitting at some desk somewhere.
Seeing him is like, it's like a Jesus Christ superstar seeing this guy in front of people. He's got that celebrity aura about him, and in that moment, he was owning that.
Do you feel like you're kind of having deja vu here? It's almost like we've seen this kind of cheerleading from these supposedly unbiased mainstream media before. We did. They were in love with Barack Obama. And just to remind you, well, we went into our archives. Take a look.
You can see it in the crowds. The thrill, the hope. How they surge toward him. You are looking at an American political phenomenon.
You know, you are the equivalent of a rock star.
On the bus ride along the snowy road to Lebanon, New Hampshire, I showed him this week's Newsweek, hot off the presses. How does this feel of all the honors that have come your way?
The feeling most people get when they hear a Barack Obama speech, I felt this thrill going up my leg. I mean, I don't have that too often.
Steady.
No, seriously, it's a dramatic event.
I like to say that in some ways, Barack Obama is the first president since George Washington to be taking a step down into the Oval Office.
Thrills up the leg and everything. Now, this love affair persisted for 8 long years and beyond. And it was so bad, this program was one of the very few only shows to actually do the real vetting of future president of the United States, Barack Obama. Remember, on this program, we showed you Obama's ties to the radical, unrepentant, weather, underground domestic terrorists, Bill Ayers and Bernardine Dohrn. It was right here on this show we revealed the true nature of Obama's longtime pastor of 20-plus years, Jeremiah Wright, and the Church of GD America, rooted in black liberation theology, which we explained to you, and Frank Marshall Davis and Acorn and Alinsky and community organizing. And now it is once again, I guess, up to us to vet the 2020 candidates, which we promised we will be doing nightly. Remember, our predictions of a failed Obama presidency rooted in these radical views turned out to be more accurate than we would have ever wished for our country. If the media had done their job, America might have avoided that disaster. They were Obama's cheerleaders every single day, even on the ridiculous $150 billion Iranian deal. Well, we can see history is now repeating itself. Take, for example, the latest controversy surrounding Reuters and Robert Francis O'Rourke. On Friday, we learned that one of their reporters, Reuters, sat for almost 2 years on an embarrassing story about O'Rourke's time as a renegade online hacker until after his hotly contested Senate race with Senator Ted Cruz. Had the story, sat on it. In fact, the reporter named Joseph Menn entered into an agreement with Beto to delay his damning story, so long as O'Rourke granted him the interview. Now, if it seems like the mainstream media, Democrats work together to win elections as one team, that is because they actually do. So-called journalists like Joseph Menn shielding Democrats from embarrassment by spiking or delaying certain reports, all while sticking it to President Trump every second, every minute, every hour of every day, no matter how shaky the story, how weak the sourcing, if any sourcing. Take, for example, BuzzFeed's latest fake news embarrassment. Now, naturally, now that Bozo's running in the Democratic primary, not against the Republican Senator Cruz, well, Menn's report in Reuters has been published, and its contents are downright shocking. As we continue to vet the candidates on our Hannity Watch, according to multiple outlets, as a teenager, O'Rourke helped found one of America's oldest hacking groups called the Cult of the Dead Cow. And during his time in the hacking community, well, Beto and his online friends stole video games, stole long-distance phone service for his dial-up modem, and engaged in various other hacking efforts in the 1980s. He had the name psychedelic warlord. And Bozo also frequently posted unusual, bizarre, strange, frightening writings on group message boards, including classifying certain women as, quote, sluts. Ultra trendies are usually the scene sluts that many of the menfolk admire so. And O'Rourke, a.k.a. psychedelic warlord, wrote that the best way to deal with these girls was to tell them that they're ugly. And O'Rourke also posted a violent, bizarre murder fantasy, writing, quote, one day as I was driving home from work, I noticed two children crossing the street. And as I neared the young ones, I put all of my weight on my right foot, keeping the accelerator pedal on the floor until I heard the crashing of two children on the hood and then the sharp cry of pain from one of the two. Pretty sick, ugly, twisted, dark story goes from there. And look, to be fair, Robert Francis was much younger at the time of this disturbing publication. But I asked this question. I wonder if the media, the left, I wonder if they'll follow the Kavanaugh standard for Beto O'Rourke. Remember when they poured through Justice Kavanaugh's high school yearbook, all in an attempt to disqualify him from the Supreme Court? And that's not going to happen with Beto or Bozo in this case. That is just their standard for conservatives. One standard for liberals, one standard for conservatives. In fact, this report about Beto has barely made a dent in the traditional news cycle. Still, over the weekend, O'Rourke offered this heartfelt apology. Take a look.
There was a report that came out today that shared things that I had written as a teenager. Really hateful, really bad stuff. I'm mortified to read it now, incredibly embarrassed. But I have to take ownership of my words and understand the way that they make people feel when they read them now. Whatever my intention was as a teenager, it doesn't matter. And so I think I'll just speak for myself. I have to look long and hard at my actions, at the language that I have used, and I have to constantly try to do better.
All right, naturally, in the hypersensitive Democratic Party, O'Rourke was also forced to issue several other apologies, including one a joke about his wife raising their children, and, of course, his white privilege. Take a look.
I'll be much more thoughtful going forward in the way that I talk about our marriage, and also the way in which I acknowledge the truth of the criticism that I have enjoyed white privilege. Absolutely. Undeniable.
All right, here we go. Yet another week Democrat starting with apology tours. Now, more bad news for Bozo. The crowded Democratic field is about to get even bigger. Over the weekend, former Vice President, crazy Uncle Joe Biden, accidentally announced his run for president. Then he took it back. Not uncommon for him.
I know I get criticized. I'm told I get criticized by the new left. I have the most progressive record of anybody running for the if anybody who would run. I didn't mean. Than anybody who would run.
Yeah, the same guy. You can't work in my state, the slave state, in a 7-Eleven or a Dunkin' Donuts without a slight Indian accent. And referred to Barack Obama as, wow, storybook. He's clean and articulate. Whether or not gaffe-prone Biden actually runs for president, he's using his public status, much like the Clintons, to rake in millions, from 6-figure speaking gigs to 7-figure book deals, Crazy Uncle Joe is turning his humble public service into a gold mine. If he runs, Biden would be just the latest Democrat to engage in class warfare politics, all while sitting on top of a mound of cash and the worst record of any political team, him and Obama, that we've seen in our lifetime. All right, we're going to have a lot more on 2020 politics throughout the show and all through the year. But first, we must turn our attention to our important Hannity watch on the deep state tonight. We have brand new information. We start with a brand new USA Today Suffolk University poll. 1/2 of Americans now believe that President Trump is, in fact, a victim of a witch hunt being carried out by Robert Mueller and his merry band of Democratic donors. Now, it doesn't take a genius team of investigators to realize that collusion is a hoax. In fact, according to disgraced one-time lead FBI investigator Peter Strzok and his former FBI lawyer, Lisa Page, they both said there was no evidence of collusion when the special counsel was appointed. That's after they investigated for 9 straight months before the appointment of Mueller. Here we are 670 days after the Mueller insensitive probe, and intense as it's been, still no collusion. None, zero, nothing. Yeah, it's a witch hunt. And meanwhile, thanks to the newly released depositions from Orr and Page and Strzok and Steele and McCain associate David Kramer, we have shocking new evidence tonight detailing how a small group of high-ranking bureaucrats, how they tried to use Hillary Clinton's phony, bought and paid for Russian dossier to take down Donald Trump. We now know tonight that Christopher Steele gave the dirty dossier with Russian lies to McCain associate David Kramer. We know tonight that Kramer, sometimes at the direction of Steele himself, who hated Donald Trump, literally spread the dossier's unverified, uncorroborated contents to 12 journalists at 9 different news outlets, 2 State Department officials, including one connected to John Kerry. Now, why? To use the Hillary Clinton bought and paid for Russian lies to influence you, we, the people, before the elections, to influence the outcome of that election and worse. And here's the bottom line. According to Bruce Orr, Christopher Steele hated Donald Trump, was desperate to malign him, as was Hillary Clinton, as was the upper echelon at the FBI, DOJ, not rank and file, as well as the corrupt news media in this country that just ran with these lies, never verified a thing. It was unverifiable because it wasn't true. And even though they all knew, all were told that this is unverified, uncorroborated, Hillary paid for it, and Steele hated Trump. A pack of lies. They tried to get its salacious contents, and they did, out to the general public, purposefully lying, propagandizing you, we, the American people. We have top DOJ and FBI officials. Those are the same people that saved Hillary Clinton from being indicted, something that would have happened to all of us. They worked on her behalf, used her lies to commit fraud on FISA courts, spy on the Trump campaign, even before the election and after the election. And it's all now becoming crystal clear tonight. But this is only the beginning. What we now have is the beginning of a cascade of information and materials that will be corroborating everything we have been telling you over the last 2 years. So tonight I can tell you, expect more damning revelations about how the dossier was written, where its information was derived, and how high-ranking officials inside our federal government abused their power to help Hillary get elected and then later to take down Donald Trump. Now, we are on the cusp of what is an avalanche of new developments.